My fiancé's sister confessed something right before the wedding. I can't unhear it. We were supposed to be asleep. It was the night before my wedding to Laura. Everything had gone smoothly, the rehearsal, the dinner, the wine, the awkward but sweet toasts. Our friends and family had all gone back to their hotels or guest rooms. Laura went to bed early, exhausted but glowing. I was sitting on the back porch of the cabin we rented, letting the silence wash over me. Nervous energy, you know? The kind where your chest is tight but nothing's wrong, just a feeling too big to hold. Then Zoe came outside. Laura's sister. Maid of honor. Red wine in one hand, cardigan half slipped off one shoulder, barefoot. She sat down next to me without saying a word, just handed me a fresh glass and clinked hers against it. One more night of freedom, she joked. Yours too, I smiled. We talked about random things at first, childhood stories, how Zoe hated the dress Laura picked for her, how their mom kept trying to micromanage the playlist. It was comfortable. Familiar. I always liked Zoe. She was sharper than Laura, a little more sarcastic, the kind of person who always knows when something's off. Then she got quiet. Just sipped her wine and looked out into the dark woods like she was weighing something heavy. You're sure about this? She asked softly. About Laura? I laughed. Yeah. Of course. She didn't smile. I just mean, if there's anything left unsaid, now's the time. I raised an eyebrow. What are you talking about? She hesitated. Swirled her wine. Looked at me like she was about to tell me something that would change my life. And then she did. Zoe didn't look at me when she spoke. She just stared straight ahead into the trees, like the words were too fragile to meet my eyes. I probably shouldn't be the one telling you this, she said. But I also don't think I can watch you walk into something blind. My stomach sank a little. I suddenly felt very awake. I asked her what she meant. Laura cheated on you. 3 words. Soft, but solid. Like bricks dropped in my chest. It was last year, she continued, during that time you two were kind of off. You were fighting a lot, remember? She thought you might break things off. I sat completely still. My heart didn't race, weirdly. It just stopped. Like my body needed to pause to catch up to what she was saying. It only happened once, she added quickly. It was stupid. And she regretted it immediately. But she didn't tell you. She told me. I asked her why she was telling me now. Why, of all nights, this one? Because you're about to make a promise, she said, finally turning to look at me. And I can't sit in the front row tomorrow pretending I don't know something that could blow it all up. There was no malice in her voice. No drama. Just this quiet, horrible honesty. And I couldn't tell if it came from loyalty. Or guilt. She stood up and placed her wineglass down on the railing. If you still want to marry her, I'll back you. I won't bring it up again. But I had to give you the truth. And then she walked inside. And I was left alone, the wine turning bitter in my mouth, wondering if everything I believed about the person waiting for me inside was real. Or just beautifully told fiction. I didn't move for a long time after Zoe left. Just sat there on that porch, staring into the dark like maybe the night would offer me some kind of answer. It didn't. Just the faint hum of crickets and the echo of Zoe's voice running laps in my head. Laura cheated. Once. A year ago. During our rough patch. It wasn't impossible to believe. That was a bad stretch, we barely saw each other between work and stress and some dumb fight about whether we were growing apart or just tired. I remember thinking I might lose her. Apparently, I almost did. And I didn't even know. But what rattled me most wasn't just the what. It was the who told me. Zoe. Why her? Why now? And why me, instead of Laura? I ran through every conversation I'd had with Laura over the past year, trying to sniff out something, some weird vibe, a slip, anything. But she'd been good. Steady. Loving. She planned our wedding like someone totally in it for the long haul. So what the hell was I supposed to do with this? I went inside eventually, past Zoe in the hallway. She didn't say anything, just looked at me like she was waiting to see which version of me would wake up tomorrow. When I crawled into bed next to Laura, she stirred a little. "You okay?" she mumbled, half asleep. "Yeah," I said. "Just needed some air." She smiled, eyes still closed, and reached for my hand under the blanket. I held it. But it felt different now. Not worse. Not better. Just heavier. Like I was holding two versions of her at once and didn't know which one I'd be standing beside when we said I do. I barely slept. I laid there all night next to her, Laura, the woman I thought I knew completely, trying not to let my mind go places I couldn't come back from. Every time I closed my eyes, Zoe's voice came back like a heartbeat. She cheated. She regretted it. But she didn't tell you. The thing is, I kept asking myself why that bothered me more than the act itself. It wasn't the cheating. It was the lie. Laura could have told me. We could have fought, cried, broken up, or stayed together with scars we both knew were there. But she let me keep living in this neat little bubble. Made me feel safe. And now I wasn't sure if the safety was love or just convenience. By the time the sun rose, I was a zombie. I got dressed like I was in a trance. My groomsmen cracked jokes and passed around mimosas while I sat there tying the same shoelace 3 times. My best man asked if I was okay. I smiled. Just nervous. Lying was easier than it should have been. Then I saw Zoe. She was standing by the sink in a silky green robe, hair curled, makeup perfect, but her eyes didn't match. She didn't say anything. She just gave me a small nod, like she was still holding the door open to whatever choice I wanted to make. And that's when it hit me. I was about to walk into a wedding with a secret between me and the maid of honor, not the bride. And no one would know. No one but us. Unless I did something. Unless I said something. Unless I blew it all up. I stepped outside alone. Looked at the lake. Listened to the sound of laughter and forks clinking inside. A perfect morning. And I realized the next hour would change everything, no matter what I chose. I didn't run. That's what's been playing on loop in my head since. I didn't run. I thought about it. God, did I think about it? I imagined walking out to the parking lot, tossing my tie on the ground, sending Laura a text, "Sorry, can't do this," and driving off like some tragic anti-hero in a movie no one wants to watch again. But I didn't. Instead, I buttoned my shirt, combed my hair, and walked down the steps toward the clearing where the chairs were set up under an arch of wildflowers Laura picked out months ago. Everything looked perfect. Her mom was crying before the music even started. Her dad gave me this firm, proud handshake like he was finally passing the torch. People kept smiling at me, saying things like, "She's a lucky girl and you two are going to make it." They had no idea I was carrying a live wire in my chest. Then I saw Zoe. Standing at the edge of the aisle, bouquet in hand, doing her duty. But her eyes? They never left me. Not once. Not when Laura walked out. Not during the vows. Not during the rings. She was watching to see what I would do. Because that was the moment. I could have stopped it right there. I had the microphone. I had the floor. I could have looked Laura in the eyes and said, "I love you, but I can't marry you with this between us." And maybe somewhere down the line, we could have rebuilt something honest. But I didn't. I said the words. I put the ring on her finger. She smiled like her whole soul was shining through her face. And when she whispered, "We made it," I wanted to believe her so badly it hurt. But Zoe was still staring. And I think she knew I'd chosen silence. You ever smile so hard your jaw hurts, just so no one sees what's behind it? That was me, for 2 hours straight. The ceremony was done. Everyone clapped. Music played. People hugged us like we were the living embodiment of happily ever after. And I kept smiling. Posing. Toasting. Nodding at compliments I couldn't even hear anymore. I don't remember most of it. But I remember Laura. She looked stunning. Like something pulled out of a dream I forgot I had. She was glowing, laughing, dancing with her dad, tearing up when she hugged her grandma. I watched her move through the crowd like she didn't have a care in the world. And I wondered if she knew I knew. There were moments, quick ones, where our eyes would meet and I'd feel this flicker of something. Like guilt. Or fear. Or maybe I was just projecting. Maybe that's all I've been doing since Zoe's little wine-soaked bombshell. Zoe, by the way, didn't say much. She did her maid of honor toast. It was short, sweet, and hollow. People laughed in all the right places. But I watched her hands, they were shaking slightly when she lifted her glass. No one noticed. Except me. When she sat back down, our eyes met across the table. No words. Just a look that said, "You still have time to speak." But it was shrinking fast. The photographer called us outside for golden hour shots. Laura grabbed my hand and said, "This is the best day of my life." And I smiled and said, "Yeah. It really is." And part of me wanted to believe it. Really, truly wanted to. But I couldn't tell if that ache in my chest was love. Or something I'd buried too deep, too fast. By the time the reception started to wind down, I convinced myself I could live with it. That secrets like this happen. That one mistake doesn't have to erase everything else. I told myself love was complicated. That forgiveness could exist even if it wasn't spoken out loud. I just needed to move forward. Be present. Start this new chapter clean. I kept my mask on through the sparkler send-off, the endless hugs, the drunk cousin who cried about our perfect union. We made it to the suite with the champagne on ice, rose petals on the bed like something out of a catalog. Laura kicked off her shoes, still buzzing from the day. She turned to me and said, "Thank you for choosing us." That's when the air left the room. Not because of what she said, but how she said it. Soft. Intimate. Heavy with meaning. Like she knew. Like she was speaking not to a groom basking in joy, but to someone who had every reason to walk away, and didn't. I looked at her for a long time. She didn't flinch. Didn't cry. Just waited. And that was the moment I knew. Zoe wasn't acting alone. Laura had told her. She knew I knew. And now we both carried this secret into our first night of marriage, neither of us speaking it aloud. Just dancing around the absence like it wasn't the loudest thing in the room. No confession. No confrontation. Just two people deciding, silently, that this was easier than breaking everything open. We toasted. We kissed. And when she fell asleep beside me, I stayed awake. Wondering if love built on silence can still grow. Or if we'd buried the root before it ever had a chance. We're married now. Everyone calls us the perfect couple. We send thank you cards. Post honeymoon photos. Smile for brunch selfies. People say we're couple goals. And maybe we are if goals include learning how to live with a version of the truth you never asked for. Because we never talked about it. Not once. Laura never brought it up. I never asked. Zoe's never said a word since that night, and I've never cornered her to relive it. The three of us orbit each other now with a kind of gentle caution, like atoms bound by shared silence. It's not tense. It's not cold. It's just untouched. Sometimes I catch Laura looking at me like she wants to say something, but she never does. And I wonder, is it regret? Gratitude? Fear? Does she love me more because I stayed? Or does part of her resent me for knowing? And me? I still love her. But the love has edges now. There are days I almost forget. Days that feel clean. Then I'll hear a song, or a line from someone's toast in another wedding, and the memory creeps back in, Zoe on the porch, glass of red wine, those quiet words unraveling everything. I don't regret staying. But I don't feel proud of it either. I think the worst part isn't the secret itself. It's that we never let it see the light. We let it sit there, like a third ring in the drawer. Not worn. Not spoken of. But always there. And now, every anniversary, every I love you, carries a whisper underneath. Do you love me? Or just the story we agreed not to rewrite? Anyone else ever choose love knowing it came with a shadow? Do you believe the truth has to be spoken to move on? Or can silence hold a relationship together just as well?